Have you ever noticed how one negative thought can ruin your entire day? How one small worry can grow into a storm inside your mind? The truth is simple. Your mind can be your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. And most people never learn how to control it. They let their thoughts attack them, drain them, and shape their reality. But Stoicism teaches something much more powerful. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer. You are the one who decides whether a thought gets to stay or gets thrown out. Today, you will learn powerful Stoic lessons that will help you destroy negative thoughts, take back control, and rebuild your inner peace from the inside out. After this video, your mind will no longer hold power over you. You will hold power over it. 1. Understand the first truth. Thoughts are not facts. Most people live their entire lives believing every single thing their mind whispers to them. If the mind says, "You're not enough," they immediately accept it as a fact. If the mind says, "You will fail," they treat it like a prediction written in stone. If the mind says, "Something bad is coming," they panic as if danger is already at the door. But Stoicism teaches something far deeper and more liberating. Your thoughts are not realities. They are not commands, and they are not truths. They are simply impressions, momentary images, ideas, and interpretations that pass through your mind like clouds moving across the sky. A thought is nothing more than electrical activity in the brain, yet people allow it to define their entire identity. You start suffering the moment you blur the line between what you think and what is actually real. Negative thoughts grow stronger when you let them sit inside your mind without questioning them. They behave like uninvited guests who walk into your house, sit on your couch, and start giving orders. And because you never tell them to leave, they act like they belong there. But the moment you step back and remind yourself that a thought is simply a thought, an impression your mind generated based on fear, old memories, or imagination, the poison immediately begins to lose its power. You start to see that not every thought deserves attention, not every thought deserves belief, and not every thought deserves to stay. When you tell yourself, "This is just a thought, not a fact," you create distance between you and the negativity inside your mind. That distance is where freedom begins. You stop reacting emotionally to every fear your mind throws at you. You stop spiraling into anxiety because you no longer treat your assumptions as reality. You stop fighting shadows that were never real in the first place. And slowly, you begin to feel the first taste of true mental peace, a quiet inner space where thoughts pass by but no longer control you, where negativity knocks on the door but is no longer allowed to enter, and where your mind becomes something you observe, not something you obey. 2. Interrupt the cycle. A negative thought loses power when challenged. Negative thoughts are like thieves. They sneak in quietly, hoping you won't notice them. They love when your mind is tired, stressed, or distracted, because that's when they can slip in unnoticed and begin repeating the same painful story over and over again until you believe it. But the truth is, a negative thought only has as much power as you give it. Most people never question the voice inside their head. They simply react to whatever it says. And because they react instantly, they remain stuck in the same emotional loop for years. Stoicism teaches that the moment a negative thought appears, your first job is not to believe it, your job is to interrupt it. Interrupting a thought is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see everything clearly. When a negative thought arises, instead of letting it run freely, pause for a moment and confront it directly. Ask yourself, where did this thought come from? Is it based on reality, or is it based on fear? Is it helping me grow or pulling me down? Is this thought even mine, or is it something someone else said to me long ago? The moment you question a negative thought, it loses the authority it had over you. You take the steering wheel back from your mind. You break the automatic reaction your brain is so used to. Most negative thoughts are recycled fears, old patterns, old memories, old insecurities trying to survive inside you. When you challenge them, you cut off their oxygen. They stop growing and begin to shrink. Think of your mind as a storyteller. It creates narratives, some true, some false. When you challenge a negative thought, you are editing the story instead of letting the worst version write itself. Over time, this becomes a powerful habit. Your mind starts learning that not every thought deserves to be processed, not every fear deserves a reaction, and not every worry deserves attention. Interrupting negative thoughts doesn't mean forcing them to disappear. It means taking away the belief that fuels them. When you do that, the thought becomes weaker, quieter, and eventually irrelevant. This is how you stop spiraling. This is how you stop drowning in stories your mind creates. This is how you rise above the noise. And once you master this skill, you begin to see clearly that you were never trapped by your thoughts. You were trapped by your lack of awareness. Awareness breaks the cycle. Awareness sets you free. 3. Protect your mind like a fortress. Not everyone deserves access. Your mind is the most important place you will ever live in. It shapes your decisions, your emotions, your relationships, your confidence, your peace, and your entire reality. Yet most people guard everything else in life, except their mind. They lock their doors at night to keep strangers out. They protect their money, their home, their phone, their relationships, but they leave the gates of their mind wide open. Anyone can walk in. Anything can enter. Every fear, every insult, every negative comment, every painful memory, every insecurity, every worry, every opinion from the outside world is allowed to invade without resistance. And then people wonder why they feel mentally exhausted, emotionally drained, and spiritually weak. Stoicism teaches that your mind must be protected like a fortress. A fortress has walls, boundaries, and guards that decide what gets in and what stays out. Your thoughts should be treated with the same discipline. Not everything you hear deserves a reaction. Not everyone who speaks to you deserves space in your head. Not every situation deserves your peace. You must become selective and intentional about what your mind absorbs, because whatever enters your mind begins to influence you, shape you, and eventually control you. Think of negativity as an enemy army. It doesn't attack all at once. It slips in quietly. One negative comment from someone, one painful memory from the past, one fear about the future, one piece of bad news online, and suddenly your mental space, which should be calm and clear, becomes filled with noise, chaos, and unnecessary worry. You cannot stop negative things from existing in the world, but you can stop them from entering your inner world. You protect your mind by deciding what you allow yourself to think about. You protect your mind by refusing to replay conversations that hurt you. You protect your mind by limiting your exposure to people who drain your energy, gossip, complain, or criticize. You protect your mind by building inner boundaries. Boundaries that say, I will not entertain this fear. I will not allow this comment to define me, and I will not let this memory poison my peace. A strong mind isn't one that never faces negativity. It's one that refuses to let negativity settle. You must become the guardian of your mental fortress, standing at the gate and examining every thought, every belief, and every story your mind tries to feed you. If it doesn't serve you, it does not enter. If it attacks your peace, it gets rejected. If it weakens you, it gets thrown out immediately. The moment you start protecting your mind with the seriousness it deserves, everything in your life begins to change. You become calmer, you become more confident, you become emotionally stronger, and the negativity that once felt powerful becomes powerless because it no longer has access to the most sacred place inside you, your inner world. 4. Turn your focus to what you can. Control, release what you can't. Almost every negative thought you experience has one hidden root: the desire to control something that is not in your hands. People get trapped in worry because they try to control the reactions of others, the future, the past, outcomes, situations, and events that are far outside their reach. And every time they fail to control the uncontrollable, they create suffering inside themselves. Worry grows, fear increases, stress expands, the mind becomes heavy, and inner peace disappears. Stoicism exposes this truth with brutal clarity. Your suffering does not come from events themselves. It comes from your desire for those events to happen your way. The Stoics built their entire philosophy around one powerful principle: the dichotomy of control. This means there are only two categories in life: things you can control and things you cannot. The moment you mix these categories, you lose your peace. When you spend your energy on things outside your control, such as what people think of you, what they say about you, how they behave, what the future holds, or what has already happened, you are guaranteed to feel powerless, anxious, and mentally exhausted. You are pushing against a wall that will never move. But when you shift your focus to what is actually within your power, your choices, your actions, your attitude, your discipline, your reactions, your daily habits, your effort, your mindset, the entire weight of life becomes lighter. You step out of the storm and back into clarity. You stop trying to fix things you were never meant to fix. You stop fighting to change people who don't want to change. You stop trying to rewrite the past. You stop predicting disasters that may never happen. You stop wasting your energy on illusions and redirect it toward what truly matters. The truth is simple. Peace begins when resistance ends. When you stop resisting reality and start working with it, the mind stops fighting itself. Imagine carrying two bags, one filled with responsibilities you can handle, the other filled with burdens that were never yours. Most people walk through life carrying both, and that is why they collapse mentally. Stoicism teaches you to drop the second bag instantly. When you drop what you cannot control, you free your mind. When you stop trying to manage what is outside your reach, you gain power over what is inside your reach. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is choosing your battles wisely. It is choosing to invest your energy in the things that can actually change your life. It is choosing growth over fear, clarity over confusion, power over helplessness. And the moment you do this, your inner peace begins to rebuild itself. Your mind becomes calmer because it is no longer fighting unnecessary wars. Your heart becomes lighter because it is no longer carrying impossible expectations. Your thoughts become clearer because they are no longer tangled in things you cannot influence. This simple Stoic principle can transform your entire life. Focus only on what you can control and release everything else. The more you practice this, the stronger and more unshakable your peace becomes. 5. Replace thought with action. Movement breaks mental storms. One of the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with negative thoughts is believing that they can think their way out of them. They sit down, overanalyze, replay scenarios, imagine outcomes, and wrestle with their mind for hours, hoping that eventually the negativity will disappear. But the more they think, the stronger the thoughts become. The more they analyze, the more tangled the mind feels. Negative thoughts grow in stillness, in the moments when your body is frozen, your energy is trapped, and your mind is left alone with its fears. This is why Stoicism teaches a powerful truth. When your mind becomes loud, your body must become active. Action is the enemy of anxiety. Movement breaks mental storms. The human mind was never designed to stay still while the imagination runs wild. When you sit and think endlessly, your mind turns into a battlefield. Every fear, every doubt, every insecurity begins to multiply. You start predicting problems that don't exist. You start creating imaginary disasters. You start believing lies your mind is feeding you. But when you move physically, mentally, or creatively, the entire pattern collapses. Your brain shifts focus. Your energy starts flowing outward instead of inward. Suddenly, the storm loses strength because it no longer has your full attention. Stoicism emphasizes the power of directed action. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, wrote repeatedly about the importance of taking small, intentional steps whenever anxiety or confusion strikes. Why? Because action brings you back into reality. Action grounds you in the present moment. Action interrupts the cycle of overthinking because the brain cannot panic and perform meaningful work at the same time. When you choose action, you are taking control away from your fears and placing it back into your hands. This doesn't mean you must do something dramatic or big. The most powerful actions during mental storms are often small. Cleaning your room, organizing your desk, taking a walk, exercising, journaling, studying, cooking, working on a project, or doing something productive you've been avoiding. These simple actions send a clear message to the brain. We are not helpless, we are not collapsing, we are not giving control to fear. Movement becomes a signal of strength, and the mind begins to follow your lead. When you act, instead of thinking endlessly, something else happens. Your confidence rises. Every action creates a sense of progress, even if the action is small. That progress builds momentum. Momentum becomes clarity. Clarity becomes calm, and calmness becomes inner peace. This is how you destroy the cycle of negative thoughts, not by trying to silence them, but by drowning them out with purposeful action. Think of your mind like a room. When the room is dark and silent, shadows take over. But when you turn on the light and start rearranging things, the shadows disappear. That is exactly what action does. It brings light into your mental space. It gives your mind something real to focus on instead of fears, doubts, and imaginary worst-case scenarios. Some people wait for motivation before taking action. Stoicism destroys this idea completely. Stoics act regardless of how they feel. They understand that emotion follows movement, not the other way around. If you wait to feel better before taking action, you will stay stuck. But if you move first, even when your mind is heavy, your emotions eventually shift. Movement creates emotional change. Every time you choose action over rumination, you are training your mind. You are building a habit of strength instead of weakness. You are teaching yourself that negativity does not get to run your life. And slowly, the storms that once felt overwhelming become easier to handle. Not because they stop appearing, but because you become the kind of person who does not sit there and drown in them. You stand up, you move, you act, and you rise above them. This is Stoic discipline at its peak. Do not let your thoughts trap. You break the trap with action. 6. Train your mind to return to the present moment. Negative thoughts only survive in two places: the past and the future. They cannot survive in the present moment because the present is calm, simple, and real. But most people spend their lives mentally everywhere except here. They are trapped in memories they can't change or lost in fears of events that haven't even happened. This is why their mind feels heavy, chaotic, and uncontrollable. Their body lives in the present, but their mind is stuck somewhere else. Stoicism teaches that the fastest way to weaken negative thoughts is to pull your attention back into the now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but this exact moment where peace naturally exists. When you are overwhelmed, your mind is usually replaying something gone or predicting something that might come. Maybe you're thinking of a mistake you made, a conversation that hurt you, a decision you regret, or an opportunity you missed. Or maybe you're imagining what could go wrong tomorrow, what people might think of you, how life could fall apart, or how the future might disappoint you. But notice something: none of these mental scenarios are happening right now. They are only happening in your head. And because they are happening in your head, You have the power to step out of them. The present moment is like an anchor. When your thoughts start dragging you into storms, the present moment pulls you back to stability. Stoicism teaches you to use simple practices to bring yourself back into the now, breathing deeply and slowly, observing your surroundings, feeling your heartbeat, focusing on your steps as you walk, listening without judgment, grounding yourself through your senses, or reminding yourself that this moment is the only place life is actually happening. These practices sound small, but they are incredibly powerful because they interrupt the mental time travel that creates suffering. When you train your mind to come back to the present, you weaken every negative thought automatically. A fear about the future loses strength because the future does not exist yet. A regret from the past loses grip because the past is gone forever. The mind only suffers when it wanders. The moment it returns to the now, the suffering begins to dissolve. This is why the Stoics said that true peace is not found in controlling life, but in learning to stay where life is right here in this breath, in this step, in this very second. When you stay present, you stop feeding the negativity with your imagination. You stop giving your fears a stage to perform on. You stop digging into old wounds that were trying to heal. Instead, you bring your attention to the one thing you can actually influence what you are doing right now. The present moment is simple. It is not messy, confusing, or overwhelming. It is your mind that complicates things when it runs away. Think of your thoughts like wild horses. If you let them run anywhere, they will drag you into chaos. But if you gently bring them back to the center again and again, eventually they learn to stay by your side. This is what training the mind looks like, a daily practice of noticing when your thoughts drift and choosing, without anger or judgment, to return to the now. Not once, not twice, but as many times as needed. Over time, you develop an inner stillness that nothing can disturb. Negative thoughts may still appear, but they no longer pull you away from the moment. You see them, acknowledge them, and let them pass like watching clouds drift through the sky. They appear, they move, they disappear. You don't chase them, you don't fight them, you don't attach to them. You simply stay grounded in the only place where peace ever exists, the present. A mind that lives in the present is a mind that cannot be controlled by fear. It cannot be broken by doubt. It cannot be drowned by overthinking. It becomes clear, quiet, and powerful. When you train yourself to stay here, life stops feeling like an endless storm and starts feeling like something you can navigate with strength and wisdom. That is the Stoic way, not escaping reality, but entering it fully, moment by moment, until your mind becomes unshakable. 7. Build a daily mental discipline. Peace is a practice, not an accident. Most people treat inner peace like luck. They think peace will show up by itself one day, that their mind will magically calm down, or that negativity will somehow disappear without effort. But nothing could be further from the truth. Peace is not something that falls into your lap. It is something you build with your own hands, day after day. Just like a strong body needs exercise, a strong mind needs daily discipline. And Stoicism teaches that the quality of your life will always reflect the quality of your inner habits. If you do not train your mind intentionally, your mind will train you, and it will train you into weakness, fear, worry, and emotional instability. A disciplined mind is not born, it is created. It is shaped through repetition, self-awareness, and small daily practices that slowly transform the way you think, feel, and respond to life. Most negative thoughts come from an untrained mind, a mind that has no structure, no grounding, no daily routine, and no guidance. It reacts to everything, gets triggered easily, and falls into old mental patterns. But once you commit to daily mental discipline, your mind slowly becomes your ally instead of your enemy. It starts working for you rather than against you. Stoicism offers simple but powerful daily practices that help rebuild inner peace brick by brick. One of the most important is reflection, taking time each day to sit with your thoughts, understand them, and observe them without judgment. This helps you break the habit of reacting impulsively. When you reflect, you begin to notice patterns in your negativity. You notice what triggers you. You notice how certain people, environments, or habits influence your mind. Awareness becomes the first tool of transformation. Another essential Stoic habit is journaling. Writing your thoughts down forces your mind to slow down. It turns confusion into clarity. It separates imagination from reality. When you journal, you pour the chaos inside your mind onto paper, and suddenly the chaos becomes something you can manage, analyze, and reshape. You stop drowning in your thoughts because you finally see them clearly. Then there is intentional silence. The modern world is loud, full of noise, distractions, opinions, and endless information. Most people never spend even a few minutes in real silence, and that is why their mind constantly feels overwhelmed. Stoics practiced silence not to escape life, but to strengthen their ability to hear their own thoughts. A few minutes of silence each day can reset your entire mind. It gives your brain space to breathe, reorganize, and return to balance. Silence is not empty, it is full of wisdom. Another powerful discipline is practicing gratitude. When you train your mind to recognize what is good, what is working, and what you already have, your mind becomes less focused on fear and lack. Gratitude does not erase negativity, but it reduces the space negativity has to grow. A grateful mind naturally becomes a more peaceful mind. The Stoics also emphasized morning preparation and evening evaluation. In the morning, you remind yourself of the challenges you might face and mentally prepare for them. You set an intention for the day, decide how you want to show up, and choose the attitude you want to carry. This creates mental armor before the day begins. In the evening, you look back and evaluate your reactions. What did you handle well? What could you have done better? Where did you allow negativity to enter? This simple habit makes you grow faster than anything else because it forces you to take responsibility instead of blaming circumstances. Building daily mental discipline also means protecting your environment. Your mind reflects what you consume. If you feed it with noise, arguments, gossip, negativity, and endless social media, it will become restless, insecure, and emotionally chaotic. But if you feed it with wisdom, calmness, meaningful conversations, good books, self-awareness practices, and peaceful environments, it becomes strong, stable, and centered. Discipline is not about perfection, it is about consistency. Even 5 minutes of mental practice every day is more powerful than hours of chaotic thinking. Over time, these small habits reshape your brain. They create neural pathways of calmness. They weaken the pathways of fear, self-doubt, and negativity. They give you emotional control, clarity, and resilience. The truth is this: inner peace is not something you wait for, it is something you build. When you create a disciplined routine, your mind becomes less reactive. Problems that once overwhelmed you become easier to navigate. Situations that once triggered you no longer have power, and the negativity that once dominated your inner world becomes something small, something manageable, something that passes through you without leaving a mark. You begin to feel a deep shift, a quiet strength rising within you. A strength that does not depend on the world being perfect. A strength that stays with you even when life becomes difficult. A strength that is rooted in discipline, not luck. This is the Stoic kind of peace. Not fragile, not temporary, not dependent on circumstances, but firm, steady, and unshakable. When you practice these habits daily, you will realize something profound. Your mind was never broken, it was simply untrained. And once you begin training it intentionally, nothing in the world can break your inner peace again. 8. Master the art of mental detachment. Not every thought deserves your emotion. One of the silent reasons negative thoughts control people so easily is because they attach their emotions to every single thought that enters their mind. Every worry becomes fear. Every doubt becomes insecurity. Every memory becomes pain. And every small problem becomes a mental earthquake. They react instantly, emotionally, and automatically, as if every thought was a command they must obey. But Stoicism teaches a life-changing principle. Mental detachment is the foundation of inner freedom. You must learn to observe your thoughts without becoming emotionally captured by them. Imagine sitting by a river and watching leaves float by. Some leaves might be beautiful, some might be dirty, some might be broken, but you do not jump into the water to chase every leaf. You simply watch them pass. Your thoughts work the same way. Some are helpful, some are random, some are painful, and some are completely meaningless. But most people chase every single thought, get tangled in it, and drown emotionally. Mental detachment means learning to let the leaves flow without jumping into the river. People often misunderstand detachment. They think it means not caring, suppressing emotions, or becoming cold. But true Stoic detachment is the exact opposite. It means caring wisely, not blindly. It means feeling emotions without being controlled by them. It means thinking thoughts without letting them rule your life. It means understanding that your mind can produce storms, but you do not have to stand in the rain. When you detach emotionally from your thoughts, you give yourself space, space to analyze, space to respond, space to breathe. Negative thoughts thrive on urgency. They attack you by making everything feel immediate, intense, and threatening. But detachment slows everything down. It gives you time to question the thought, evaluate it, and see it clearly instead of reacting blindly. And in that clarity, you begin to see how many of your negative thoughts were exaggerated, inaccurate, or completely false. Mental detachment transforms your inner world because it breaks the connection between thought and identity. Most suffering comes from thinking, "This thought is me." But the moment you detach, you realize, "This thought is something I am experiencing, not something I am." You stop taking your fears personally. You stop taking your doubts seriously. You stop taking your imagination as truth. And that shift alone destroys more negativity than any external solution ever could. This practice also helps you handle criticism, conflict, and negativity from other people. When someone insults you or disrespects you, your mind naturally creates a story about it. Without detachment, you absorb that story as truth and react emotionally. But with detachment, you see their words as an expression of their inner world, not yours. You become less reactive, less disturbed, and far more in control of your emotional state. The opinions, moods, and actions of others no longer dictate your peace. Mental detachment also protects you from overthinking. Overthinking is nothing more than emotional attachment to the wrong thoughts. You replay conversations, imagine scenarios, create outcomes, and worry about things that don't exist because your mind has become glued to those thoughts. Detachment is like lifting the glue and giving your mind freedom to let go. When you detach, thoughts come and go naturally instead of getting stuck and multiplying. Practicing detachment requires patience. It won't happen overnight, but every time you choose to observe instead of react, you are rewiring your brain. Every time you remind yourself that a thought is temporary, you weaken its emotional pull. Every time you breathe instead of panic, you reclaim authority over your inner world. And slowly, your relationship with your mind transforms. Your thoughts no longer feel like threats. They feel like passing reflections. They come, they go, and they no longer shake your identity or your peace. A detached mind is a peaceful mind. A peaceful mind is a powerful mind. And a powerful mind is a mind that no negativity can control. When you master mental detachment, you no longer fear your thoughts because you finally understand that you are the sky and your thoughts are just clouds passing through. Clouds never harm the sky. They only remind it of its vastness and strength. This is the Stoic mastery of detachment, not escape, not numbness, but deep emotional independence. And once you develop this, you become unshakable from the inside out. At the end of everything you have learned in this journey, there is one truth that ties all 7 teachings together. Your mind is the root of your suffering, and your mind is also the root of your freedom. The same place where negativity grows is the same place where peace can be rebuilt. The same thoughts that once controlled you can become thoughts you simply observe. The same patterns that once trapped you can become patterns you break with awareness, discipline, and daily practice. Stoicism does not promise a life without challenges. It promises a mind strong enough to face them without breaking. Negative thoughts will always appear. Fear will visit. Doubt will whisper. Old memories will try to return. People will hurt you, disappoint you, or test your patience. Life will throw situations you did not ask for. But the difference between the old you and the new you is simple. The old you reacted to everything, believing every thought, absorbing every emotion, and letting the mind run wherever it wanted. The new you chooses which thoughts matter, which emotions stay, which voices are allowed in, and which stories get rejected. That is real power, the power of inner control. When you understand that your thoughts are not facts, you stop believing every negative voice that rises inside you. When you interrupt a negative thought, you break the spiral before it becomes a storm. When you protect your mind like a fortress, you stop allowing people, memories, and fears to invade your peace. When you focus only on what you can control, you stop wasting energy on what never belonged to you. When you act instead of overthinking, you destroy the loops that keep you trapped. When you return to the present moment, you stop living in timelines that no longer exist. And when you build daily mental discipline, you create a mind that stays strong no matter what life brings. Slowly, day by day, the mind that once felt chaotic becomes calm. The thoughts that once controlled you become weak. The fears that once shaped your decisions begin to fade. You become someone who is not shaken by every emotion, not disturbed by every thought, not controlled by every situation. You become someone who moves with clarity, responds with wisdom, and chooses peace over panic. This is what Stoicism offers, a mind no negativity can dominate. Inner peace is not the absence of problems. It is the ability to remain stable in the middle of them. It is standing in the storm without letting the storm enter you. It is hearing the noise of the world without letting it disturb the silence inside you. It is living in a way where your peace is self-created, self-controlled, and self-protected. And the most powerful truth of all is this: you already have everything you need to rebuild your inner peace. The strength is in you. The awareness is in you. The discipline can be built by you. No one can give you a peaceful mind, and no one can take it away. Once you learn to master your inner world, your outer world begins to change on its own. From this moment forward, you are not a prisoner of your thoughts. You are the observer. You are the builder. You are the guardian. And you are the master of the mind that once tried to break you. Walk with this strength. Live with this wisdom. And remember, the greatest power you will ever hold is the power to stay calm in a world that wants to shake you. Your mind is your kingdom. Protect it, strengthen it, and rule it with clarity and confidence. That is how you destroy toxic thoughts. That is how you rebuild inner peace. That is how you transform your entire life, from the inside out.